Welcome to Stories from the Center of the Universe, the podcast about the human experience.
Brent and Rob, welcome to the Center of the Universe. I'm a little thrown off because we just tried to record this. This is round two, so hopefully it'll work this time. We've got you here tonight because we're going to talk about our top 10 for the first 250. And I'm having you on because both of you have effectively listened to all the episodes. And if not all of them, maybe a handful that you didn't listen to, but certainly enough to make you experts on this podcast. And it makes me laugh every time I think about it. I'm not sure why you two have listened. Well, I know why Rob has, because Rob committed to doing a summary every week, if not 2 or 3 a week. But Brent, you're listening, I think, because you enjoy them, but you answer that question. Why have you listened to so much?
Yeah, so, and first, thanks for having me at the Center of the Universe, Paul. So it was a great drive up here to Ashland. I love it up here. It's beautiful. But Kevin, Flip, I worked with him at a smaller bakery than the one that you two worked at.
Nice, but bakery nonetheless.
Bakery nonetheless. And he had mentioned, hey, I'm going to be on my buddy Paul's podcast. You ought to check it out. And I did, and I enjoyed it. So I started listening to a couple other episodes. And the next thing I know, I said, well, I'm going to start at the beginning. And I went all the way to the very first episode and just started listening. And that was my morning commute, my afternoon commute, you know.
And you didn't fall asleep while driving.
I did not fall. That's impossible in 95 in this city to fall as well. Impossible for me, not for others.
Yeah, right.
But no, I really enjoyed the stories. I love the concept of Ashland. I grew up in a small town myself that didn't grow the way Ashland did. It actually died. It died with the coal mines, right?
Yeah.
But it was a small town, about 500-ish people. So it was cool to hear the growth that you've experienced, that the folks in the Ashland have experienced, and the folks that you know, because that's the way I feel when I go back home. You know so many people, and you know the stories, but to get them out there and get them recorded, that's just really cool. And then you add the military people that you've worked with, and I mean, you've just had some really interesting and amazing guests that have had tremendous stories that are inspirational or humorous, or just the life experiences. The people experiences are just amazing.
Yeah, and they're pretty diverse, I think, meaning like it's just a lot of different types of experiences. And yeah, there's been a lot of Ashland, but there's also been a lot of like not nowhere near Ashland.
Absolutely.
And I adore learning new things about people. And a lot of people roam this earth and they don't tell their stories. And a lot of them are really amazing stories, to use your word. Sorry, Rob, you were saying.
No. I was in agreement, and I think it has been diverse. We've talked to people from all over the world, and all different walks of life. And you mentioned it. I mean, there's been success stories, inspirational stories, athletes, military, a couple actors. I mean, it's authors. I mean, it's been great.
Recovering drug addicts who are now clean. At least they were when I spoke with them, and all 3 of them had been clean for some time. Yep. And I don't want to miss those stories because I think they are as instructive as other stories where maybe the road wasn't so tough.
Yeah, and topical. I mean, when COVID was happening, the folks you were talking to then, to know what they were going through and what the world was going through their eyes, was really eye-opening. Of course, I was listening to it after it had happened, but it brought back a lot of memories, right? Because we've all lived through it. So.
Sure.
Yeah, and we forget how brutal it was.
Yeah.
Well, we forget parts of it anyway.
All right. I'd like to clarify that yes, I am committed to you, to do write-ups. But I do thoroughly enjoy listening to this.
Okay.
So I just want to put that out there.
I thoroughly enjoy the chase of getting people on, and I thoroughly enjoy the actual conversations. And so I've told my wife and my kids, like, I'm going to do this until I can't do it anymore.
Right,
whether that means death or my mind goes or whatever it is, but I'm going to keep doing these.
I like it.
And I think it's hopefully making the listener a little bit more worldly, and it's certainly making me more worldly by talking to all these folks. But let's get into it. We're doing 2 things tonight. One I just sprung on you just before we started recording. So we have prepared a top 10, each of our top 10s. We'll probably have some overlap. And then from those top 10, we're going to nominate 4 each. Give us 12. We'll come back and I don't know, 2 or 3 months, and then try to whittle our way down to 5 without offending the 7 we don't put in the Hall of Fame. And by the way, there will be a total of 3 people that care about the Hall of Fame, and they're sitting here in my house right now
I think
recording.
there'll be a couple more.
Maybe. All right, Rob, you're going to kick us off. We'll talk about each one for, I don't know,
Okay.
a minute or two.
All right, cool. Well, I'm going to kick it off with one of those you just segued. This is, I believe, an inspirational story, a success story.
I have trouble saying that word.
I know, I hear you. So, so my first one is episode 31, Cody Miller.
You and I overlap. You just knocked out my first one.
Okay, sorry.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
So, but yeah, just actually, she's one of the ones I've gotten to go back and listen to, and Cody just, I mean, man, the way she started. I mean, she tells you, you know, she was born to 2 people that were already addicted on crack, and it's probably a minor miracle.
Heroin.
Sorry.
Yeah. But same.
Yeah, and you know, so it's a miracle she wasn't addicted when she was born per se, and then, but just the way she made it through, you know, parts of her life was amazing. And then, of course, when we talked to her, I think she had been 3 years clean, gotten her GED, a master barber, reconnected with her son, who
had emancipated himself.
Yes,
when
right.
he was able to.
Yeah, exactly. So, just real inspirational and amazing. I've got a couple others, you know, just about how people start, and then, you know, the successes that they've had in their life. Or, you know, I just think they were amazing, and she was one of the ones I really wanted to highlight.
Overcoming stuff that you can't fathom
yeah.
in your own life. When I look back at my life and I hear that story, and I think
Right.
a couple others we're going to bring up, you're like, I haven't had any bad days.
Yeah, right.
Not one.
Riding around in a car so her parents can do drug deals.
Yeah.
But none of us can relate to that.
And the most amazing part of her story was, one, how she overcame and became clean.
Yeah.
But the fact that she does an annual scholarship
Right.
for folks that had it rougher than she, I mean, mostly young men
Yeah.
who had been sex trafficked as teenage boys, and they're now young adults, and the world has said, you don't matter. And she says, you actually do. Right. I'm going to help you guys reintegrate into the world.
Yeah.
One a year, but she's also helping the other folks beyond the one a year.
Yep, for sure.
To get back into society. So anyway,
when you think about what could have happened with her, to know what she did,
right?
It's so inspirational.
Yeah, and what she's still doing is crazy, amazing.
And where it came from, I think she had people in her life that helped her along the way, but it was 99% hers the way I understood.
And I remember you asking her, you know, who did inspire her when she was growing up, and she said she had a grandmother and an uncle, but she lost both. She lost her grandmother like at 12, I think, and her uncle at 14.
And she still came through.
Yeah, so yeah. I mean, so just case in point, I think she had a couple people that helped her, but she was young. After they left her, it was all her.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, part of the inspiration right there.
Yeah.
So,
absolutely. Cool. Good one, since obviously 2 of us had it on the list.
So,
and I don't know, Brent, you may have her as well.
I did not have Cody, but actually I had some honorable mentions, and she was in the honorable mentions.
Okay.
I don't know where they're doing that or not.
Yeah.
So if I'm next, I did it in episode order, so it's not in a.
That's how I did it.
It's not in a top 10, 1 to 10. And the first one that I had down was actually episode 7, which is your buddy Gene Burke.
Yeah.
And I know I'd asked you guys about the question with regards to almost killing Santa Claus, which that story just hearing what folks did throughout their military careers, that is the oh my gosh moments and the this happened moments were just those were awesome, right? And to hear the story about him almost ditching the helicopter and landing on the golf course, and then thinking,
I don't know which story's better.
Oh my gosh, are we dead? Right.
And then the road sign saying "My Blue Heaven."
Absolutely. But yeah, when he described the state that Santa Claus was in, hanging out the door of the window or of the helicopter, as he had a windscreen full of the other helicopter, I just go, oh my gosh!
And children and their parents on the ground nearby.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
With kids screaming and fellow pilots going, oh my goodness, what's happening up there?
Yeah, I've been in the car thousands of times with Gene. He drives a car like he thinks he's in a helicopter, like he can elevate or drop. And I'm like, Gene, you can't.
Right.
You're going to run into that car in front of you because you can't go up.
Yeah, this is not a hovercraft.
Right, exactly. And Gene's also the first one, and he's, I think, one of maybe 2 or 3 that just started asking me questions. I'm like, that's not how this works, Gene.
Right.
You don't get to do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well, my one we already talked about, Cody. All right, what's your number 2?
Oh, okay, very good. Number 2, episode 51, Courtney Farrell.
All right, we're 2 for 2 now.
Okay, sorry.
We're going to go 3 for 3, I have a feeling.
Okay, very good. We'll see.
That's a speed up. But anyway, why did you like Courtney?
Well, Courtney...
or her episode.
Yeah, honestly, I think the main thing I liked about Courtney was, and we've had several of these people on, but I don't know, she just sticks out, just essentially the effervescence of her attitude. I mean, she sang a song to us, right? Didn't she sing to her mom on the podcast?
She sang 4 verses.
4 verses
of a
yes.
song she wrote for her mom, and then she said, like within 30 seconds after she stopped singing, I think she looked at Daniel, who was doing the podcast with me at the time, looked at him and said, "Bet you thought I was going to stop after the first verse."
Right? Yeah. But just I don't know, I mean, it was just. It just made me feel good to hear her talk about, and just, I think she talked about poetry and writing and just, all the stuff that...
She's a wildly creative person.
Yes, exactly, yeah. Her creativity and effervescent attitude and all that just was fun to listen to.
She also led to your next selection and my next selection, which is pretty obvious for the two of us, who I think selected next. Maybe you have another one between 51 and that number. Anyway, I saw her at a cross-country meet, and she goes, "Oh, who are you here with?" And I said, "Oh, my daughter's here, but she's not gonna win. She's out here trying her best, but she's not gonna win." And she goes, "Well, she gets to run longer than anybody else. Then she gets more time doing the thing." And I'm like, yeah, that's one way to look at it.
The positivity.
Yeah. I had Courtney as well, and I thought that she was just hilarious. She talked about her mom being the slayer of bullies, and she talked about her mother-in-law dressing as the Easter Bunny and going to church, and I mean, I was just in stitches the whole time. Listen, it's larger than life.
It's a TV show.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
She talked about the one kid saying, knew how to speak German, and he put his finger up to his lip and said, "What is your name?"
Courtney's hilarious.
Yeah.
She's really funny. And I think she's funny usually when she's trying to be, but sometimes she's just funny because that's just who she is.
Just who she is.
She also had a TED Talk. If you saw that, I think she was doing a TED Talk, and it was a really good TED Talk where she brought a girl up and she talked to her.
Yeah.
I think I remember that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good call. Yeah.
No. Yeah. She ad-libbed that. I think she described how she just kind of made it up spur of the moment, and it worked out.
I forwarded it to my wife, and she was like, "Thank you." She said, "This is amazing."
All right, I can't talk about mine as a fresh thing because Rob, you and I have overlapped twice, and
that was a 3 for 3.
That was a 3 for yeah.
Yep.
All right, so who's your third?
So I don't know where you're going with somebody after, but my next one.
Are you going in episode order?
I'm trying, yeah.
Okay.
I might have to go back, but my next one was episode 81, Lionel Bacon.
Oh, that's right. You intentionally skipped that one because you assumed he was going to be like the OG of all OGs. My next one. Okay, got it.
Oh, correct. Yes.
Yeah, Lionel Bacon's on my honorable mention list.
Okay, gotcha. Yep. So Lionel, again, another little bit of the start. I mean, he talked about growing up in the projects. I think it was Kentucky,
Louisville.
Yep, and a very actually famous project. And then his journey and how he got to VCU. And, of course, I mean, loved hearing about his playing days at VCU. That was fun. We had a whole bunch of VCU basketball players there for a while.
At least 6.
I was going to say 6 or 7, yeah. And then I think the main thing again, or the main thing for Lionel after that was just how he's been giving back for years and years and years with the Boys and Girls Club of Virginia. And go ahead.
No, and he's a beast. He does the Spartan races too.
Well, yeah,
and he's older than I am.
Yes, right. Yeah, he's he was a year older than me too. I think
he's either your age or a year.
Yeah.
older.
So yeah. Then the last one was just hearing about this whole Spartan thing, and he came up here and he was a brick. I mean,
he was all
in
muscle.
great shape, and So that made me feel even fatter than usual. But anyway, so just the way he's given back, his teaching kids and helping kids and everything like that. And then, just again, where he came from and making it out and being successful at VCU and so on and so forth was just really cool.
No, Lionel's a great dude. One thing that I've told on this podcast a couple times at least is Lionel is sort of if you want to learn the VCU basketball world, go to Lionel, because he's kept in touch with all the generations. And this woman who was doing a VCU Final Four story from 2011, and she's like, I'd love to talk to lots of people from lots of different year groups. And he said, well, if you want to learn about me, I just did a podcast, Stories from the Center of the Universe. This young lady works for CBS 6, I guess the news portion of that, and she heard that Lionel had never met his father and had not even seen what he looked like. He had no idea what his biological dad looked like without use of the internet, because I don't think his dad is on the internet.
Right.
She found a picture somehow.
Yeah.
And then met up with Lionel and showed him the picture.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right. Yeah, that's
wild.
That's one of the most amazing connections, that this podcast, in my opinion, has ever made. To give him that in his life, and it's because you connected those two, is amazing.
I think there are lots of lessons learned from this podcast,
right?
But that sort of impact, I never saw coming.
Yeah,
it's really cool.
Totally
just happened to be part of that little story.
Yeah. There you go.
Cool. Who's your number 3? Now you're going to overlap with me.
So actually, my number 3 was episode 19. Jack Stackhausen.
Oh, yeah.
The son. So Mike's son, when he came in, it was just really inspiring hearing him talk about going through the Ranger School twice, and I'm a huge fan of. I read David Goggins' book, and the have the fortitude to just keep going back and knowing what you're going to experience. That just blows my mind.
And in winter too.
Winter,
right?
Absolutely.
You talk to anybody who's been through
soldier.
Winter, it's just brutal. Jack signed up he went through Ranger School twice.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's nuts. And his dad's a tough cat. If we had more Mike Stockhausens and Jack Stockhausens, the world would be a better place.
Yeah, for sure.
One thing I'll say about Jack is he may have shared this off recording. He said he loved playing high school football so much, but he wasn't a big guy, so he knew he wasn't going to play at the next level, at least not Division I football. He said he and a handful of his friends said they would give one of their pinkies just to play one more season of high school football when they were like 20, 21 years old.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm like, I like playing football too, but not that much.
Right.
I liked how he talked about the 40%, right? Which most people put in the 40%. They won't go past that.
Yeah.
They can't push themselves past that.
Yeah.
And Goggins talked about the same thing, where you just you've got to be able to reach in and find that more.
Yeah.
Whatever that more is. But you could hear the pride in Mike's voice.
Oh,
Mike
loved it
when he was on the podcast
Yeah.
and talking about Jack's accomplishments.
Well, I'll share a little secret that I don't think I've ever brought up. So we were on camera. I think it was still COVID time. It was definitely COVID time. Jack was actually at Fort Campbell, Kentucky at the time. Mike was in his house. I was here. Daniel was at his house, because I'm pretty sure Daniel was definitely part of that one. And Mike, every 8 to 10 minutes, would put a new baseball cap on. And I think he was just messing with me. He started with a Cowboys hat, and then I'm like, come on, Mike. And his son's telling these crazy stories, and so much pride for Mike.
Right.
But he's also goofing off, putting
at the
different
same
baseball
time.
caps on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, that's a really good one. My next one is John Dow. Rob, you would have had him on if you didn't assume he was the OG. I think you and I maybe have said, like, of course John's going to be on the list. Brent, I think you mentioned that you had John as well in your top 10. If you haven't listened to episode 62, it's the one that Rob and I recommend all the time.
Yes.
If you don't like the sound of my voice, I don't talk very much. It's basically... He effectively told the story he told during his TED Talk, and it's the story that the documentary that Nicole Kidman narrated, and John was one of the 3 featured Lost Boys of Sudan. I can't even fathom what those kids went through. I can't wrap my head around it. I just know it's amazing. Amazing is not even strong enough word. Whatever the strongest word is for what they experienced. And what John is doing now, he leads 4 nonprofits, employing hundreds of people in South Sudan. It's just an amazing story.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing. And I said, well, hey, John, why are you willing to do this episode? Because there's a lot of stuff out there on you already. He said, because Courtney told me to. Courtney Farrell.
Wow.
They knew each other, and she was my connection to John.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was incredible to listen to, and it was humbling. It was humbling to hear, the fortitude that he and the rest of the group had multiple times. The decisions they had to make between getting shot or getting eaten by crocodiles,
Or drowning,
or drowning, or whatever the case may be, and then to hear him talk about what it was like when he finally got to America. And automatic doors and grocery stores.
He's funny.
That was
Food
hilarious.
for cats and dogs.
He's
whole
funny.
sections dedicated to cats and dog food.
And I think that was a big thing for me. You just mentioned the survival, the survival story that he had to go through, and all those kids had to go through, and then he and some of the kids get here, and first of all, where he came to New York. How
Upstate.
Upstate, yeah. How much different do you get, from Sudan to upstate New York, and then.
I mean, they'd never seen a light bulb turn on.
Right.
Until they got to New York.
And then, like you said, Brent, the technology that they just couldn't even fathom, and it was the simplest things that we all take for granted. And so it was just amazing.
I think you had mentioned, 4 of the first 27 when they escaped the house survived.
Right.
And
you
you
something
just
like
go,
that.
wow, just the odds. And then to have, what is it, 18,000 of 20-some thousand
Right.
in the larger group whenever they crossing the river, you just can't understand.
No.
I can't begin to fathom, what it was like for them to go through what they went through.
Every spoiled kid from every generation, and even if they're not spoiled, but they maybe take some things for granted in this country and other countries, should listen to, either watch his documentary, listen to his TED Talk, or listen to the episode he recorded with us. It's unbelievable. I don't think anybody will ever beat it, even though there've been some other guests that have come close. I can't.
It's a hard one to top.
I can't manufacture
Right.
not a fictional story that is more incredible than that
Yeah,
story.
than what he's been through. Yep.
All right, cool. Rob, what's your 4th?
All right, my 4th is 99 Pedro Aruza. And
Well, you need to share the disclaimer that you're friends with Pedro.
I am friends with Pedro. Yes, I actually have a friends list. That I was going to go over tonight, but we are friends. Pedro, his oldest son, and my son Jack. His son's Owen played football together at Patrick Henry, and we've known each other. But I think Pedro, number one, he has a story where he started, from very
His
humble
story's pretty
beginnings.
incredible too. Yeah.
He has lost, very close family members to addiction, and then just his current, his faith is what I probably admire the most about him, and then I truly believe that he is a maker of men. In respect of kids come to play for him at Randolph-Macon, and they leave, they come as boys, and I really honestly believe they leave as men. And I think a lot of that is due to his obviously to his culture. He's also an amazing coach. They've done so well lately, So yeah, I'm his friend, but he's one of the people I admire most in this world, and a lot of that has to do from where he came from, what he's done, and just his. We talk about the 40% thing, like you mentioned with David and with Jack Stockhausen, and it's just Pedro goes beyond. He has a drive that I don't see in a lot of people.
Well, he still has some records from his college, from his alma mater, playing football, and Pedro's 5'5".
Yeah.
We didn't say that on the recording. He's not a big dude.
Right. He's an All-American running back.
Yeah.
And I don't care if it's D1, D2, D3, you're still an All-American.
Right.
And he just would, I would not want to try to tackle Pedro in his prime.
If I was 16 or 17, I'm 5'5", I'm like, Dad, I'm not playing football.
Right.
But
yeah.
Pedro obviously gravitated to it.
Right. Yeah. So anyway, great dad, just great family. So just, yeah.
You heart Pedro.
I really like Pedro a lot. Yeah, I won't go there, but yeah. So
All right, cool. What's your number 4?
Vote for Pedro, right?
yeah,
Rob would definitely vote for Pedro.
yes.
All right, Brent, your number 4.
So actually, we talked about COVID and episode 23, Mia Blanchett.
Yeah.
With the the frontline nurse who took it upon herself to say, I can do more if I go to a busier hospital.
Yeah.
Right. And she was just so positive through everything that was going on, except for the fact that she had acne on her chin, I think, from having to wear the mask.
Yeah.
But the inspirational shirt she was wearing to inspire others.
Yeah.
And I mean, she just it made me think back to that time and what the world was like, and it was it was a tough place. But she was inspirational in that, and knowing that she was on the front lines was inspiring.
She on the front lines and like, how can I do more? Yeah,
Absolutely.
To your point. All right, my number 4. I was so happy he actually came to my place. He was sitting where Brent is sitting now. Episode 141. Robert Pratt. Robert Pratt played, I think, 11 seasons in the NFL for the Baltimore Colts at the time, and then for the Seattle Seahawks. And when I was a senior in high school playing football, Robert Pratt was an assistant coach for the first time. He just retired from the NFL, and we also had a coach who was an Olympic weightlifter. And I'm looking down the sideline at one of our games. I'm like, how am I being coached by these two guys? It's unbelievable. And Robert he had a bruise on his face, and I asked him what had happened, and he told me the story. And I said, "What are you doing, dude? You're almost 70 years old. What are you doing riding your bike for like some crazy like distance or for a period of time?" And this has stuck with me, and I've heard it before, but having Robert say it, he goes, "I got to keep the old man out." And so, because if you rest, the old man's coming in a hurry. You got to keep moving. And I don't think I'll ever forget that. Yeah, and obviously Robert was a freak athlete. He still has the touchdown record from my high school of, I think it's 20, and I could be wrong. Maybe somebody did break it recently, but he played fullback, and he has the touchdown record.
And he had 20 touchdowns.
Yeah, and then he became a tackle at UNC, and then a guard in the pros.
In the NFL. Yeah.
All right, we're almost halfway done. Number 5 for you, Rob.
All right, number 5 for me. I've got 3 or 4 of these. A slight theme for me is storytellers. So actually, my next one is 113, Steve Sands.
Steve's a speaker. He's a professional.
Yes, he is. Yeah. So anyway, but I just a cool story in respect that he actually, we got a couple folks like that started here in Richmond, doing news and things like that, and then I think he's just one of those people that had great timing. He moves to Orlando, the Golf Channel starts.
He's not a golf guy, really.
And he's just an overall sports guy, no real thing. And of course, if you look on the website, the picture of him is him talking to Tiger. So I
was very intentional in choosing that picture.
No, I don't doubt it. So, just good timing, and then he's really made himself into one of the best golf coverage guys.
And he could have said no to this podcast.
Yeah,
but one of his coworkers / friends asked him to do it. And he goes, "Yeah, because you're asking, I'll do it."
Right, exactly. Yeah. So it seemed like a genuine guy, and loved to hear him talking about we do it with a lot of folks, but loved to hear him talking about his family and And also, slight disclaimer that golf is a big part of my life.
You're a golf head.
Yeah, I'm a golf head. So yeah,
Be a tough gig to have, right?
Right. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I'm a little bit jealous too. So.
I apologize for not fully introducing both of you, so I'm going to do that right now. Rob Dole, Silent Rob, Scribe. I think you have 1 or 2 other nicknames.
Crack research staff.
Yeah, you are the entire Crack research staff. And then Brent, I didn't even say your last name. It's an Italian last name. And how you would pronounce it in Italy, I think, is Scopella.
Scopel, yep.
Yeah, but you pronounce it that way. You say Scopel.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So Brent Scopel is here, and I will have you back, and you'll tell your story.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. It'll be fun.
That'll put a lot of people to sleep.
No.
Well, yeah. We'll just put a warning out there. Just don't drive and listen to that upset. All right. So what's your number 5? Right.
All right, so I know Flip and I know Wingle, and I didn't put either of those guys in here sort of I put left Flip in here because the 97-minute promo that the Boogie Woogie Man cut was just classic, and I could hear Flip just marking out through that entire.
He was so happy.
episode.
He was so happy. Boogie was just before his 80th birthday.
Yep.
Yeah.
He couldn't have been more energetic. Had a great mind.
Yeah.
He has tattoos everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just a wild, nice guy.
He cut a promo. The whole episode was him cutting a promo.
Yeah,
and
he started really strong, saying Kevin was wearing a bikini.
yes,
Right.
with no top.
With no
You
top.
could put a top on, Kevin.
You're wearing a bikini without the top. Kevin.
Yeah. And then
Kevin's like, what is happening right
right.
now? Because Boogie Woogie Man was one of his 3 favorite wrestlers of all time.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and now here he is
could
sitting
hear
across
talking
from
to
him.
him,
Oh
yeah.
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 I was happy he was able to form words. Actually, Kevin.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
You know, it was great, especially. I mean, you grew up watching wrestling, as I refer to it.
Sure.
You know, there's an A in there somewhere.
Yeah, right,
But to hear the stories about what he was doing and how he came out to the music and nobody else was doing that, and the first time he met Hogan and all,
Oh, yeah.
and the names he was mentioning, you just go, wow, those are flashbacks.
Right. You talk about nostalgia. It was a total throwback to the
absolutely.
childhood.
He probably has hundreds of hours of stuff that we could record with him. But
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
that's a really good one.
And you mentioned too, for almost 80, and he's still running wrestling camp and stuff like that. Still fully engaged with people.
Yeah.
It's just crazy about
And he lives in the middle of nowhere.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
But he was gracious enough to have us there.
That's right.
All right, my number 5 is a guy I went to high school with. I've had 4 folks I went to high school with. And all 4 were really good conversations for me because I knew the guys and I was happy to catch up with them. But the one that threw me for a loop was Buck Sessoms. He was a enlisted infantry guy in the Marine Corps, VMI graduate. He did not have to enlist in the Marine Corps. He could have done things in the civilian world, but he wanted to serve his country. And look, Buck and I talked about this. Buck was not the toughest kid in high school. Like, if you were going to pick somebody who was going to be a combat veteran Marine infantryman, Buck was not in your top 10.
Yeah.
And he ended up being the most courageous and selfless guy, at least in that way, out of my graduating class and certainly classes before and after mine. And then he decides to be a helicopter pilot. And he's got cool stories about being a pilot for Marine One and just some incredible things. And I was so proud to know him. Mm-hmm. And then he took the time. He drove all the way here to because he lives in Wilmington. I mean, I think he was doing some stuff out west, but he drove a couple hours this way out of his way to record, and he didn't come across as like I'm bragging about myself. He's just like, I'm telling the story.
Yep.
Here it is.
Yeah.
So and it just threw me for a loop that Buck had accomplished all that.
Right.
Anytime you can talk to somebody who's actually met a president, regardless of who the president was,
Right, sure.
it's impressive, right?
Yeah.
And he talked about the personality that Obama had and the fact that he could remember everything. I think he talked about Baby Bush was the same way.
Yeah.
Was it, or no, senior?
Senior.
No, it was W.
It was W. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That where it just 3 years later he met you for 30 seconds and he remembers your name and
Right.
what you guys talked about.
It's weird.
That's that's how some folks get to where they are, I guess.
Yes, right.
Because I can't remember what I had for breakfast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I'm like, I'll go to my phone, like, I want to look something up, and then I get distracted. I'm like, what the heck was I looking up? And,
Right, yeah.
And these guys are remembering names of
If you
people
don't
that
have
we
the
barely
first
met.
3 letters, you can't remember. I know.
Right.
I'll remember faces sometimes, but
Yeah.
names, I just
Oh, I'm great at faces, but it does me no good in the coming conversation.
my kids are 30 and 26, and it's hey number 1, hey number 2.
Right. Yeah.
Just
You got
kidding.
the thing 1, thing 2 T-shirts. Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
Do you think they're going to listen to this?
I
Right.
don't know. I possibly, hopefully,
You going to tell them about it?
I will. I
Good.
will.
Good. That's 2 more listeners.
That's right. Woohoo.
All right, cool. All right, we're halfway home. What's your number 6, Rob?
Number 6 is episode 192, Matt Green. So Matt, just a little bit of a storyteller, but I think the main thing about Matt is a doer. I mean, he made some decisions, and Matt has walked across the United States. He has walked
From Rockaway Beach, New York to Rockaway
to
Beach,
Rockaway Beach,
Oregon.
Yep. So I was telling my daughter Julia about it, and she's like, "No way!" And every single street, borough, park, everything in New York, And then, not to mention, when he was home visiting his parents, he walked every street in Ashland, Virginia, the center of the universe.
Which didn't take him nearly
Which
as
probably
long.
didn't take him near as long, or wasn't quite a strain on his body. But anyway, it was just neat to listen to him talk about his journey, you know. And I mean, and in the true sense of a word, he did a journey, you know. We all have them. Some of them are tiny in length. Some of them are lengthy, but just the things he told about the way he traversed his way across the country, especially, was just crazy cool.
Yeah, I think he said this off recording to me because he looked at me kind of funny when we stopped recording. He said, "So you just kind of meander wherever the conversation takes you," and I'm thinking, yeah, I guess that's what I'm doing. And I learned some cool things because we meandered. I'm not so rigid around my preconceived notions of whoever's talking to me. And he said, yeah, I meticulously plan every day for those walks in New York and the walk I did across the country. And he's an engineer,
right?
But he wouldn't have a bottle of water. He would only take tap water. So he's a very interesting, pretty broad spectrum kind of guy.
Yeah. So anyway, I just thought the thing for me, the word that came out for him was just the journey.
Yeah,
so.
he was on my list of serious consideration, but I thought you were going to put him on there, so I left him off.
Well, good minds think alike.
All right, Brent, you're number 6.
Well, you knew I was going to put this guy on here, which was Tommy Do. Tommy Salami.
I left him off because I knew how much you love that one.
That's a repeat over here.
Yeah.
So he was coming.
All right, nice.
So,
Yeah, Tommy was just.
He's your. If
Absolutely.
you're going to pick a one,
Yeah,
he's your one.
He would be the one, and only just because of the sheer comedic factor plus the educational factor. I mean,
Right.
just listening to him, it was. I'm like, I can't wait to go to Charleston and take a tour with Tommy Do, with Tommy Salami. See if I can get him to sing. Hopefully not naked.
His mom said, "Tommy, you can't tell those stories on a recording." And I'm telling his mom, Bev, do, and I'm like, Bev, nobody's going to listen to that.
That's right.
Yeah, it was.
Very few people will know about that, Mom. I promise you. So.
Being, I've been in bands myself, and I've never been naked in front of a group of people. But the thought was there. What can we do to drive people coming to see us? Nobody wants to see this naked. But then to hear his knowledge of the history of Charleston and what it went through and what it's going through and the growth that it's had and where that growth is limited, and it actually made me really want to go there because I've never been. And I'm like, okay, we need to go. I told my wife, I'm like, we have to go down there and do a tour with Tommy, but I just want to see the city because it just sounds.
It's a neat town.
It's a neat town, and his take on everything that
I was going to say, not only is we all know Charleston is a cool town, but like you just said, to hear it from his perspective, and he tells it in such a great fashion, but he also tells it like it is.
Yeah,
he doesn't fall into.
He's not sugarcoating. He's not.
No, and he doesn't fall into any of the traps about. He talks about actual history. Loved his story about, it was Sandra Day O'Connor, right?
Yeah.
That quizzed him.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So, yeah, he was definitely on my list too, and he.
All right, so we knocked out your number 7 with that one.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. We can. Yeah.
All right, my number 7, and it's weird. 5 of my last 5 are between 219 and 250.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
and there may be a recency thing going on a little bit. And I also knew a couple that you were definitely going to say, and I knew you were going to say Tommy Salami. But my next one, and look, I've served in the Army and Army National Guard with a lot of really amazing people, just selfless, tough, smart. But the one that is always just comes to the top of the list, Mike Stockhausen's definitely in the conversation, but this guy, Don Willis, grew up on 5 acres because they needed the entire 5 acres because they were not going to go to the grocery store. That they didn't have the money to do that. They grew up hard scrabble, and I didn't know that about Don. We'd served together for years. I didn't know that about him at all until he recorded with me, and he was the best top 3 NCO I'd ever worked with, and I've worked with a lot of great ones, and he brings a smile on my face too. It's this weird combination of, you can rely on him, You know he's smart. You know he cares about you. He's also got a good sense of humor. He's been through tragedy that I can't imagine losing his daughter the way he did. But he's a fighter too. And I wish there were more Don Wilses in the world.
Yeah.
I was so happy that I was podcasting, and it was a great way for me to reconnect with him.
Yeah. Yeah, I had Don on a very close list of the top 10. He was in consideration of my originals, and you said it, just the way that he and his wife have gotten through tragedy, and the fact that they're raising their grandsons, says that to me, just says a lot about them right there.
Yeah,
that they can
without hesitation.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, yep. So
that's
that was a great one.
No parent. Sorry, didn't mean it.
No, yeah.
No parent should ever have to.
Exactly.
It's awful.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, you're number 7, because we're going to skip Rob, because I just knocked out, or Tommy Salami was your number 7. So what's your number 7?
Mine?
Yeah.
It was actually episode 243 and 256, Jeff Teagues.
You've knocked out another one.
I actually bought his book. I haven't started reading it yet.
Oh, nice.
But I did buy the book.
So this podcast has led to one book sale. Well, actually 2, because I bought his book too.
There you go. Where Have All the Heroes Gone? It was a really neat. I grew up Catholic, right? So you knew the Bible, never trekked over, right? And know that he got the experiences of saying, well, gee, while I'm here, why don't I look for? Why don't I go find? And that was it was inspiring. I'm like, wow, that's just to connect those dots. And again, I haven't read the book. I laughed like crazy when you talked about how he nailed the story of the crucifixion. That's what all.
I walk into those things all the time. Yeah, not a whole lot of thought as words are coming out of my mouth sometimes.
But he's led an inspiring life, and he's the things that he's done where he's changed directions and reinvented and really impressive. Really impressive.
Yeah, as an Army guy, the fact that he was enlisted as a Ranger, then he goes to college and he runs and competes nationally, mid-distance guy. And then goes back into the Army as an officer and does the SF, the Special Forces thing, or the Green Beret thing. And then he makes it into Delta. Yeah. And then he retires, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, maybe 6 years ago now. And he's going after sex traffickers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's already served his fellow man
like
100 times more than the
Yeah.
average person,
Right.
and he's still like, I can do more, and I'm going to do. These are hard. I mean, just the stories that he's running into are awful to even understand,
Yeah.
but he's going after bad guys, and I'm glad there are people like Jeff in the world.
Absolutely.
Yes, for sure.
Absolutely.
We need them. So
All right, that was my number 7, Rob. So number 8 for you.
okay, hold on. Let me do this.
All right. Do you want me to just talk about random things while you're
No.
looking at your
All
notes?
right. Fine. So, next one for me is 206, Helen Emerson. Helen, it's Penny Lane, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So owner.
Yeah, she was a
owner
lot of
now.
fun.
Yep.
She and her dad own it. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So, but yeah. So just I think just cool old family stories, and then.
Little European flair.
Yeah, little
Irish flair.
Yep, Irish flair, which love. She, well, you just said. I mean, she was just fun to listen to. I just really. It's one of those ones that, I got a lot out of it, but it was also just really fun to listen to. And you guys had a great conversation, and
We recorded it in her pub, too.
yes, right.
Yeah.
I remember that. So, so I thought. I always think those are cool sometimes too when you're doing the on-site, when you go places and do the on-site interviews. So I thought that added something to it, and she obviously felt comfortable in her, home per se, homework or work home, whatever you want to call it. And so anyway, mainly for Helen, it was just a lot of fun. I just really enjoyed it. And
She has a lot more stories.
I'll bet, yeah. So
I might get her back on.
there's quite a few that we should have part 2s.
Oh, wow. Maybe that's an episode.
Could be.
We should come on a second time or a third time, because I've had some people on it.
That's true.
Like Jeff, because you
Yeah.
mentioned 2 episodes.
Yeah.
Cool. You're number 8, Brent.
My number 8. Where you talk to Cleveland Brown. I mean, it's Mike Henry.
He was definitely a consideration for me too.
You know, that guy, he kept saying, everyone's going to die. Just go do what you want to do. You know what I mean, that was just that
He's not wrong.
Absolutely. The Cleveland Brown thing, the fact that he had the opportunity to potentially be on SNL, which is, the pinnacle for so many folks, but then to take the path that he took, and to live the life that he's lived, it just seems like he's created his own path in everything that he's done.
He went into corporate America for a year, and he's like, "This is not for me. I'd rather starve trying to make people laugh."
Yeah.
Cupped hand, or the ad that he said he put together. His boss is like, "What are you here? What are you doing here?"
Right. Yeah.
That was probably the first indication that he was meant for something else.
Absolutely.
He had the funniest line. I think it's the funniest line, and I may be forgetting some things. But I went on this little ramble about it's really cool that you're willing to do this, and you never asked for anything. You're essentially doing this out of the kindness of your heart. He goes, "Wait a second. I was promised sexual favors."
Right, yeah.
And I'm like, awesome. "Oh, I'm dealing with a different animal
yeah,
here
right.
tonight."
Yeah.
Woo! Did not see that coming.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he goes, at some point he goes, I can't remember exactly what we were talking about, but he said, I was thrown off by how he was engaging me. He goes, "Why are you thrown off?" I'm like, "I'm a military guy who's been in corporate America way too long. Like, there are rules for things. Those just don't apply to you, Mike.
Yeah.
You haven't ever had to worry about them. Maybe a year when you were doing the ad agency stuff."
Right, yeah.
Yeah, but Mike was a lot of fun to talk to.
Yeah.
He couldn't have been nicer. Cool. All right, my number 8 is Teresa Lopez de Ocanis, I think is how she pronounces it. And we stumbled into Teresa through the Ashland small business thing that Rob, you and I have been doing for 3 years now, and I guess we'll be doing it again this summer.
Yeah.
It's a way of just getting the word out about small businesses, 142 listeners at a time. Teresa was smart, witty, engaging, she was bubbling the entire time we talked to her. And we were so taken in by her personality that we visited her store.
Yeah,
where
we went and ate.
Yeah, we had
bought stuff.
We had tacos over there at their food truck, and she's serving the Hispanic community in Ashland or in surrounding areas. But she also is making money on YouTube, helping people that English is a second language just get through whatever you need to get through as somebody who lives here. And she's famous enough in that community that somebody recognized her on the streets of New York.
Yeah.
Which is wild.
Right. Yeah.
Super wild. And she's just somebody who lives in Ashland running a grocery store, but she's also having a major impact on her community.
Big time. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm a huge fan of Teresa.
Right.
I could talk about her for a while.
Yeah. And I'm right there with you. And the things I would add is, how does Teresa get done what she gets done in a 24-hour period?
Yeah.
I mean, she's amazing. Yeah, I mean, the work ethic is like on a whole different plane,
Yeah, she was telling a story, I think off recording, about her son not wanting to do something because it was cold, and she's like, you're doing
right,
this.
Yeah, right.
Like, there's no question here you're doing
Yes, exactly, yeah.
Yeah, she seemed like she probably didn't sleep a whole lot, I remember.
Right, yeah.
Where it's like, where do you find time?
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
She's definitely not well rested each night.
Right.
But she loves her life. I mean, she definitely comes off with a huge positive.
Oh, no, yeah, she's super positive and great attitude. Always, like you said, she was smiling the entire time we were talking to her. We walk into the store, she's smiling. She starts talking to us, showing us where things are, and then she's like, "Yep, go see my hubby in the food truck," and get choked up.
Yeah, she was awesome.
And by the way, those tacos were really, really good.
Yeah, they're really great. They're great, and
they were.
Yeah, not many people know that food truck's even there.
No, which is
But maybe now they do. The
That's
intersection
right.
of Route 54 and Route 1, right off that intersection.
Correct. Yep. Good call.
All right, what's your number 9, Rob?
So my number 9 was Mike Henry.
Oh, another overlap.
Yeah, so I had an overlap there. So.
All right. Any other comments about Mike that we didn't catch?
No, not really. So
right.
we got. I mean, he's the reason that John is in Richmond, right? In that.
Yeah.
Wasn't that
yes.
connection?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Did we tell that story on the podcast? I don't know if we did.
I'm not sure that we did, but just again, I think that just leads all. and we talked about, earlier just about connections, but it's cool some of the connections we've made through this and how we've gotten people is
Never saw any of it coming.
no, without a doubt.
Yeah,
So,
Mike was actually contributing time, money, whatever, to one of John's nonprofits, or maybe
Yeah.
2 or 3 of them. And Mike said, "Hey, you've got 5 kids. I'm pretty sure we can figure out how to get your kids educated for free in a warmer place,
right.
Richmond, Virginia." And so,
Yeah. So why don't you come down from upstate New York and we'll get you.
yeah,
get you in the
so
right place.
think about it. Mike and John have been connected for years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Big time. Yeah.
Wild, right? You don't see that coming.
No.
All right, you're number 9, Brent.
So it'd actually be my 10 because I did have Buck Sessoms on my list as well.
All right, so this is the last one.
So yeah, Jim Malak.
Yeah,
Jim was, and again, it's
the stories.
It's kind of like a John Dow. It's this. How did we have no idea, living the lives that we've led, what it's like to be in a situation of people trying to take over hostily or being persecuted because of the religion you have, and his stories were just amazing. When he talked about the questions that his dad would always drill into him, and then when the guy asked him what are you going to be when you grow up, he said, "Oh, I want to be a priest."
Right.
And the guy just got up and walked out. You just go, "Wow,"
Yeah.
or the 30 guys on the bus. Right.
Yeah,
and the
that
guy was
story's
harassed and was
nuts.
like,
That
"Why
was
don't you just ask me if I'm Catholic or Protestant?"
Right.
And then proceeded to get into a fight with all of them.
Because he answered the question honestly.
Yeah, because and that was just how he got to Cambridge, and
And had no real desire to go to Cambridge.
no, and he told him, look, I'm not going to take your entrance exam, and you take me on my grades or don't take me at all.
Yeah.
And the guy's like, no one's ever talked to me like that. Okay, you're in. He tried to outdo the guy and ended up being there anyway.
Yeah.
But no, he was. And besides hearing an Irish accent for an hour,
Yeah.
it's awesome.
Well, he said he's Irish, and he's like, I won't go into a bar that has a Union Jack flag.
Yep.
Just
Yeah.
won't do it.
Right.
And his son's been on. His son's a great guy, just like his dad is. But Jamie's quieter. Jamie's kind of an introvert. His dad is not an introvert.
Definitely not.
At all. All right, that's a really good one. My 9th one. So you're finished with your top 10.
Yeah. Yep.
My 9th one is Carlene Bass. She said this a really funny thing. It wasn't recorded. She was 89 at the time. She was a couple months away from her 90th birthday. Her mind is like the mind of a 35-year-old, and physically, you look at it, you're like 68, 72 at the oldest, and she was 89 at the time. She meets my wife upstairs, and we're walking down to where we're recording right now, and we're about halfway down the steps, and she yells back up the steps, "Lisa, if I don't come back up in an hour, call the cops." I'm like, "Carlene, you've known me most of my life.
Right,
What are you
yeah,
talking about?"
right.
She's just being funny.
Yeah.
I also learned after I recorded with her, she didn't bring this up, and I didn't know to ask. She was on Jeopardy.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
that's
like
awesome.
one of the first few seasons, she was on Jeopardy.
Way
Yeah.
cool. That's awesome.
And I think she won, but back then she won her match, but you didn't go to the second day back then unless you got a certain dollar amount, and she didn't get to whatever that dollar amount was. But she won.
Yeah.
I mean, today's rules, she would have gone to at least a
She
second.
would have kept going. Yeah.
But anyway, Carlene's hilarious. She had great stories, and you want to talk about Ashland stuff, small town stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Her history knowledge of the town was sick.
It was awesome.
Yeah. Of course, I like the fact that she partly grew up on the street I live on. So
There you go.
for a little bit,
Yeah.
that was fun.
All right, right on. Do you have a 10?
I have a 10.
All right.
Rachel Adcock. I think she's episode 35.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
And
I'm a huge fan of Rachel's.
yeah, no, and I think some of the things that jumped out for me on her were so number one, she overcame what a lot of people consider one of the biggest challenges in life, and that's when you get cancer.
Yeah.
And she had a famous one. I mean, Hodgkin's, everybody knows, at least has heard of it, kind of deal. But again, you go back to it's been like Courtney was it in a way creative, positive, but Rachel's just her positivity, and how she faced that battle, and then writing a book that was based on the positivity of facing that battle.
I've known her for a long time. I keep forgetting she wrote a book.
Yeah,
because she doesn't talk about it.
And then, if I recall, and then I guess I see this as a form of giving back too. She writes this book, which I'm sure she spent a ton of time on, and it's $8, or I think it was $8.03, and then all that $8.03 goes to the American Cancer Society.
Yeah,
she wrote a book about how to positively fight one of the worst things that we as humans have to worry about facing. At least that's the way a lot of people think about it. And then she takes all the proceeds and gives it back to the people that are trying to fight that.
Yeah, she's
fight it every day.
She's a great example of the kind of folks that I think we're trying to highlight on the podcast.
Yes,
like she's just quietly living amongst us, and she's done some
amazing things,
pretty darn cool things. Yeah.
So just really enjoyed it, and just so happy for her that that she gets to be with her kids and her husband, and just keep on going and keep fighting the good fight.
Yep.
So. Yep.
All right, now. So we're about to pivot to the Hall of Fame thing after I do my 10th one. Because you're the scribe, you're going to have to keep track of who's in the Hall of Fame.
I can handle
I'm not going to do that.
I can handle
that. All right, awesome. Yeah, because you're pretty good at, you're very good at the note taking, and I think you're pretty good at keeping your notebooks. I see it.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. This just happens to be coincidence. I think we did the first 150 at one point, or we did 100 to 150 or something, and I chose 150. It happened to be Bobby Malone. This time I'm taking 250, episode 250, Sonia Friday Kinney.
Yeah.
Great personality, ridiculous athletic accomplishments in track, and the story of how she grew up, and mom didn't tell her to play sports. She was so athletic that they're like, you need to play sports. She starts playing. Mom doesn't come to any of her stuff,
right? And
she keeps going because she's just really, really good at it.
Yeah.
She had an amazing personality the whole time.
Yeah.
She's great, and not one time did she come across as braggadocious in the conversation. Nope. Not once.
Yeah.
And so we were at that Patrick Henry High School Hall of Fame induction, which, like thousands of high schools in this country, but it's near and dear to us, even though you and I did not go to that high school, Rob.
Yeah.
And for her to be part of that first class, I thought was amazing. But all the men in that class, because out of the 9, were there 9 or 8? There were 8.
There was 8.
6 of them were men.
Yep.
2 were women. The other woman was youngish and didn't really know, especially the 4 or 5 oldest folks.
Right. Yep.
But the guys that were old enough that were also inducted, they were saying she was the most accomplished athlete out of all of them, and they're right.
Oh, she was determined to be the GOAT of the class. Yeah, for sure.
Well, and I think she's the GOAT of the high school in terms of sports, and you could argue she's in a conversation for track and field at UVA because she still has one of the records. I think 2 of them just got broke. She had the 100, 200, 400 for a long time.
Okay.
I think she still has the 400, which was her best event.
Yeah.
That's from the mid '80s. She still has the record.
She graduated PH in 1983, so she was mid '80s at UVA.
Yeah.
So
wild. Anyway,
when you can say that you ran with Jackie Joyner Kersey and FloJo, you've done pretty.
You're
good.
From Ashland, Virginia. You made the national team.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Pan Am games and and I get to see her once a month on the committee, and she's just a great person, and like you said, not in the least bit would just by talking to her, all the accomplishments that she's done.
Yeah.
So
she's a
great pick.
Yeah, and wants to help the podcast.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. All right. Not rapid fire, but we are going to move pretty quickly. We're not going to, because we've already talked about each of these 4 nominees in our own way, so we're not going to do any more descriptive discussion about them. But we're going to speak slowly enough that Rob can write them down as described. Do you have your 4, Rob?
Yes.
You want to hit us with all 4 of them?
Sure. All right. Sorry, I got to flip back. Hold on. All right. So my 4 are Courtney Farrell, Pedro Aruza, Matt Green, and Tommy Dew.
No overlap with me, but I have a feeling there's overlap with Brent. And you can add another one if you do have overlap, because I know one of them's going to overlap for you.
Yeah. So my 4 were actually Gene Burke, and so is Tommy Dew. Well, I'm sorry. Well, Tommy Do, John Dow, Tommy Do, and who was my last one? And Jim Malak.
All right, so you get to come up with another one to give you a total of 4 since one of those was already taken in Tommy. And so you can think about that while I go through my 4. And I overlap with you on one of them with John Dow, so I've got to come up with another one. I have Buck Sessoms, Teresa Lopez, Diaconis. I can never say the last part of her name correctly. And then, did you say Teagues? You did not,
I did not say
Teagues.
Teagues.
So I have Jeff Teagues as well. I have Teresa, Jeff, and Buck. Man, who am I going to throw in? Wow, it's tough. Do you have your 4th, which is really your 5th?
I do not. Still thinking.
I'm going to throw Courtney Farrell in there. Or did you say her?
I said her.
Daggone it. This is tough, man. This is really tough. I'll go Carlene Bass. Yeah, Carlene Bass.
Okay. So I have Gene still on there. I have John.
Yep.
And I have
Tommy. You want to know you couldn't have Tommy?
I don't have Tommy. I have Jim Malak.
Yep, you need one more. And then we're going to debate. We'll come up with maybe some criteria that will guide us.
I've got one first thought already.
Okay. We'll talk about it off recording, how we're going to do that.
Okay.
By the way, Brent, as he's thinking, I do love the fact that he has a beard and it has much more gray in it than mine does.
I like it.
Even though I've got a considerable amount of gray, Brent's got me beat.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna go with Mr. Henry, I believe.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
It's a good one. He's in the top 5 most well known, and it's funny, he's not as well known as you would think he would be because nobody really recognizes him. They might recognize the voices he does, but it's not his face typically.
Yeah, absolutely. And he mentioned that, right? He
Yeah,
said,
yeah.
There's been a couple of people that have known who he was, but for the most part,
They were super fans.
Yeah, yeah.
To even
Yeah.
know what he looked like. Yeah.
yeah.
Right.
Or they were stopping him with Seth Green, and Seth was getting out autographs and all that. And
He's just got to stay there.
Yeah.
Like, I do a couple voices
Right,
myself.
I'd have broken into Cleveland Browns voice just like that.
Yeah,
Do you
or
recognize me?
yeah, he's got a couple others too that are decently known, but not like Cleveland Brown. Cool. All right, this was fun. I really appreciate y'all doing this. Appreciate you coming over. Fairly short notice, but and Brent's picked up an episode now. Your kids get to check out sometime.
That's right.
I think your story's pretty interesting.
All right.
I guess we'll find out.
We'll find out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll find out.
You've got a good voice too for radio, by the way.
I don't have a face for it. So.
That's why.
Or
That's
I've got
why.
a face for radio.
That's why I'm doing audio.
So there you go. I've got a face for radio.
All right, cool. Any parting thoughts?
No, this was awesome.
Yeah.
So we're going to take the Hall of Fame thing offline
Yes.
and come back around.
I mean, we'll describe our criteria.
Excellent. I
We
like
can
it.
either do a debate or we can just say announce the top 5.
All right, rock and roll.
We might
I
even
like
have guests come on and intro them.
it. Oh, there you go. I like it.
I might get wildly creative and then end up not doing any of it, but yeah, good times. All right, cool. Thanks for doing this, guys.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to wherever you listen to podcasts. We'd also really appreciate if you'd rate and review us. You can find us at scodupodcast.com.